Good morning, children. Hearty welcome to all of you for today's session. Hope you all are doing good. Okay, at this time, I have a poem called The Tale of Custard the Dragon from our first flight textbook. This poem is written in the style of a ballad. You know what's a ballad? A song or poem that tells a story. It's a humorous ballad close to a parody. Quite interesting if you read the poem by giving attention to the rhythm. So before we read this poem, let's talk about the poet Ogden Nash. Our poet Ogden Nash was born in Rye, New York on 19th August 1902. He wrote over 400 pieces of comic verse. For a short time, he worked for Wall Street and then a school teacher and then a copywriter. The best of his work was published in 14 volumes between 1931 and 1972. In the 1950s, Nash focused on writing poems for children. He is best remembered for his nonsense poetry. The Tale of Custard the Dragon is considered as his most famous poem for children. His important works are A Caution to Everybody, A Drink with Something in It, A Lady Who Thinks She is 30, A Tale of the 13th Floor, and more. Now, I am going to give you a brief introduction to our lesson, The Tale of Custard the Dragon. Ogden Nash has written a poem about a little girl, Belinda, who owns many pets, namely a black kitten named Ink, grey mouse named Blink, yellow dog named Mustard, and a covered dragon named Custard. The poet has described every character to be brave, except the dragon, who is a coward. But the whole situation changes when a pirate attacked Belinda's house. No one else had the courage to face him. It was the dragon that killed the pirate. All the characters are happy because they are saved by the dragon, but quickly change their thoughts and discredit themselves to be more powerful. Hope you understood the introduction, children. Once again, I'll give you. Ogden Nash has written a poem about a little girl named Belinda who owns many pets. So, who are her pets? A black kitten named Ink, a grey mouse named Blink, there is an yellow dog named Mustard, and a covered dragon. What's the name of the dragon? Custard. So, the poet has described every character to be brave, except the dragon, who is a coward. But the whole situation changes when a pirate attacked Belinda's house. No one else had the courage to face him. It was the dragon that killed the pirate. All the characters became happy because they are saved by the dragon. But quickly they changed their thoughts and discredit themselves to be more powerful. Okay, so let's move on to our lesson. Let me read the first two stanzas. The Tale of Custard the Dragon. Belinda lived in a little white house with a little black kitten and a little grey mouse, and a little yellow dog and a little red wagon, and a really truly little pet dragon. Now the name of the little black kitten was Ink, and the little grey mouse she called him Blink, and the little yellow dog was sharp as mustard. But the dragon was a coward and she called him Custard. Okay, children, let's see the explanation of the first stanza. I'll read it to you for once again. Belinda lived in a little white house with a little black kitten and a little grey mouse, and a little yellow dog and a little red wagon, and a really truly little pet dragon. Okay, children. So here the poet says that, as I told you, it's written in the form of a ballad, or it's written, the poem, our poem, The Tale of Custard the Dragon, is written in the style of a ballad. As I told you, it's a song or poem that tells a story. So, it's a ballad. So, here the poet says a story. The poet says that once there was a little girl named Belinda. She lived in a little white house. Belinda lived in a little white house. She lived in a little white house with some creatures who were her pets. Who are the children? Yes, they were a black kitten, a grey mouse, a yellow dog, a little red wagon. And the creature that the poet says was really and truly a dragon. So once again, children, Belinda. Who was Belinda? Yes, that's the name of a little girl. She lived in a little white house. And in that white house, she had 4 pets. Who are the children? Yes, they were a black kitten, a grey mouse, a yellow dog, a little red wagon, and a creature that is, the poet says, it's really truly a dragon. You know, it's a dragon. Okay, so the next stanza. Now the name of the little black kitten was Ink. So again, the second stanza. Here, the poet explains the name of all the animals that are tamed by Belinda. The name of the little black kitten, it was Ink. And the second one, the little grey mouse, she called him Blink. And the yellow dog, and the little yellow dog was sharp as mustard. So the little yellow dog was called Mustard. But the dragon was a coward, and she called him Custard. So here the poet explains the name of all the animals that were tamed by Belinda. He says the name of the black kitten, it was Ink. And the name of the grey mouse, it was Blink. And the little yellow dog, who had yellow color, so she calls him Mustard. What do you mean by mustard, children? Mustard means a yellow colored flower. So the yellow colored dog, the little yellow dog, it had yellow color, so she called him Mustard. And the last one, the dragon, that was a coward. You know what is sorry, children. So what do you mean by coward, children? Coward means a weakling. That is what is not courageous. So she named him Custard. So the first paragraph, it's about Belinda, not paragraph, children. The first stanza, it says something about Belinda. And the second one, it says about the names of the pets of Belinda. Okay, so let's move on to the third stanza. Custard the dragon had big sharp teeth and spikes on top of him and scales underneath. Mouth like a fireplace, chimney for a nose, and Relio, Trulio, daggers on his toes. Okay, children, let's see the explanation. You know what's the meaning of spikes. Spikes means thin pointed surface. Thin pointed surface, spikes, you know, spiked shoes are there. Okay, so Custard the dragon had big sharp teeth and spikes on top of him and scales underneath. So here we get a description about Custard. Then who was Custard? Custard is the name of the dragon. So the poet describes the dragon by how, children? Yes, it had big sharp teeth. The first line, Custard the dragon had big sharp teeth. So the poet describes the dragon like this. So it had big sharp teeth and spikes on top. And on top of him, he had spikes. And underneath, below his body, he had scales. You know what it is, scales? Scales means thin bony plates protecting the skin of fish and reptiles. Scales of fish. So here, thin body plates protecting the skin of fish, and at the same time it would be helpful for reptiles too. So this means that its skin was pointed on the top. What means? spikes on top of him. Have you seen that line, children? Yes, and spikes on top of him and scales underneath. So the poet describes that the dragon had big sharp teeth and spikes on its top. That means its skin was pointed on the top, and on the lower part it had scales which were bony plates to protect the skin. Then what about his mouth, children? Yes, his mouth has been compared to a fireplace because it is assumed that dragons can release fire from the mouth. You know that. Okay, so his mouth has been compared to a fireplace because it is assumed that dragons can release fire from the mouth. Then what about his nose, children? His nose, it's compared to a chimney which is used to pass out smoke. You know what's the meaning of chimney? Which is used to pass out smoke. So his nose is compared to a chimney. His mouth has been compared to a fireplace. Then what about his feet, children? The last line. And really, oh, truly, oh, daggers on his shoe, daggers on his toes. Dagger, you know, a sharp knife. Then his feet are like a sharp knife. That's a dagger. So in this stanza, in the third stanza, we got the description given by the poet about the dragon. Once again, children, yes, the poet described the dragon like this. So it had a big sharp teeth and spikes on top. Then its lower part, it had scales which were bony plates to protect the skin, especially reptiles. Then his mouth has been compared to a fireplace because we know, or it is assumed, that dragons can release fire from their mouth. Then what about his nose? It's compared to a chimney. Chimney, chimney, chimney for a nose. And the last line, daggers on his toes. Toes, you know. So his feet were like a sharp knife. That is a dagger. Okay, so let's move on to the fourth stanza. Stanza number 4. Belinda was as brave as a barrel full of bears, and ink and blink chased lions like the stairs. Mustard was as brave as a tiger in a rage, but Custard cried for a nice, safe cage. So what's in this paragraph, children? See, some new words are there, children. Let me give you the meaning of barrel. Belinda was as brave as a barrel full of bears. So what's the meaning of barrel? Barrel means drum. D-R-U-M, drum. Chased, you know, followed. Then the next word, range. Not a range, children. Rage. R-A-G-E. Rage means anger. Rage means anger. So here, in this stanza, Belinda was as brave as a barrel full of bears. Barrel, as I told you, it's a drum. So listen. So here, the poet explains the inner strength or the bravery of various characters of the poem. So how many characters are there, children? Yes, Belinda and her pets. They were the characters, or they are the characters of this poem. So now the poet explains the inner strength or the bravery of the various characters he introduced in this poem. So he says that, first one, Belinda. Belinda was as brave as a group of bears. Belinda was as brave as a group of bears. B-E-A-R-S. And ink and blink, they were so brave that they could hunt lions. See the second line, children. Ink and blink. So ink and blink, they were so brave, they were so courageous that they could hunt lions. So here, the poet has shown the bravery of the kitten and the little mouse that they could hunt even a lion. The dog was very brave, just like an angry tiger. Mustard was as brave as a tiger in a race. So he just behaved like an angry tiger. The tiger was very brave. The tiger was so courageous, just like an angry tiger. But to contrast to all of them, or on the other hand, what about the condition of the Custard? The Custard, the dragon, he was not brave. He was so afraid of everything that he always demanded a safe cage for his safety. See, always he demands a cage to be safe. But Custard cried for a nice, safe cage. So what's the condition of Custard, children? As he was a coward, he always demanded for a cage to be safe. Okay, children. So once again, let me read the last stanza. The last stanza means the fourth stanza. Belinda was as brave as a barrel full of bears, And Ink and Blink chased lions down the stairs. Mustard was as brave as a tiger in a rage, and Custard cried for a nice, safe cage. So, what is going on there, children? So, here the poet explained the inner strength or the bravery of the characters that he introduced in this poem. So, he says that Belinda was as brave as a group of bears. Ink and Blink, they were so courageous that they could hunt lions. And what about the dog? The dog was very brave, just like an angry tiger. But on the other hand, Custard the dragon was not brave. He was so afraid of everything, so he always demanded a safe cage for his safety. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Belinda tickled him. She tickled him unmerciful. Ink, Blink, and Mustard, they rudely called him Percival. They all sat laughing in the little red wagon. Adrilio, Trulio, cowardly dragon. Children, I forgot to give you the meaning of wagon. Wagon means a cart, C-A-R-T. Okay, so let's see the explanation of this one. Belinda tickled him. She tickled him unmerciful. You know what's the meaning of tickle? What's it? Move her fingers on the sensitive part of his body to make him laugh. Belinda tickled him. She tickled him unmerciful. What's the meaning of unmerciful? Cruel. Unmerciful, cruel. So what she is doing there, children? Belinda tickled him. She moved her fingers on the sensitive part of the dragon to make him laugh. She tickled him cruelly. She tickled him unmerciful. Ink, Blink, and Mustard. What they were doing there, children? Yes, they rudely call him Percival. Then who is Percival? It's a reference, children. A knight in King Arthur's court. Knight, K-N-I-G-H-T, a knight. Okay, so he is a knight in King Arthur's court. Arthur, A-R-T-H-U-R. He is a knight in King Arthur's court. A knight in King Arthur's court. That is Percival. Okay, so let's see the explanation, children. Yes, Belinda, what she was doing there, children? Yes, she tickled him unmerciful. She tickled the dragon in a very cruel way. Ink, Blink, and Mustard, they made fun of him by comparing him to a knight. What's the name of the knight, children? Yes, the name of the knight, it's Percival. Then what's the speciality or why does he is referred here like this? So he is compared, or Percival is compared to a knight. What's the reason, children? See, here is the reason. Percival, he was a knight in King Arthur's court. He thought that he was brave. Actually, he was not brave enough. He ran away due to the lack of courage. So, did you get the reference, children? Yes, Percival. Percival is a knight in King Arthur's court. So, he thought that he was brave, but ran away due to lack of courage. That is what is the reference of Percival. So, here, Ink, Blink, and Mustard, they rudely call him Percival. They call him Percival. They compared him to a knight named Percival who was thought to be brave but ran away due to his lack of courage. Then they used to tease the dragon while sitting in their little red wagon. They used to tease him. They used to make fun of him while sitting in their little red wagon. Wagon means cart. So once again, let me read the stanza. Belinda tickled him. She tickled him unmerciful. Ink, Blink, and Mustard, they rudely called him Percival. They all sat laughing in the red little wagon at the realio, trulio, cowardly dragon. Then what's the meaning of realio, truly, children? Real, realio, real, trulio, true, it's true. The dragon is a coward. At the realio, trulio, cowardly dragon. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Belinda giggled till she shocked the house. not shocked the house, children, till she shook the house. Belinda giggled till she shook the house. And Blink said, "Weak," which is giggling for a mouse. Ink and Mustard rudely asked his age when Custard cried for a nice, safe cage. Okay, children. So, what's in this stanza, children? So, here, what's the meaning of giggle? I think you know the meaning of giggle. Giggle means to laugh. Giggle, to laugh. Then weak. Here, it is a sound made by the little mouse. Weak. Here, it's a sound made by a little mouse. Okay, so let's see the explanation, children. The poet says, Belinda used to laugh so loudly that her voice echoed in her house. Understood? Belinda giggled till she shook the house. You know what's the meaning of shook? The past tense of shake. So what did she do? Yes, she used to laugh loudly so that her voice echoed in the whole house. Then what about Blink? Blink, the mouse, used to laugh and make a sound of weak. And Blink said wick, which is giggling for a mouse. So what's giggling for a mouse? Yes, the mouse. It made a sound that is weak. Here, it's a sound made by the little mouse Blink. On the other hand, Ink and Mustard, they would tease him by asking the dragon his age whenever he used to demand for a nice, safe cage. So, Belinda, what she was doing there, children? Yes, she had a habit of laughing loudly so that her voice echoed in the house. Then Blink, the mouse, used to laugh and make a sound of wick. And Ink and Mustard, what they were doing there, children? Yes, they would tease him by asking his age. What's the reason? Because the dragon, the coward dragon, he always demanded for a nice, safe cage for his safety. As I told you, he's a coward. So the coward dragon, Custard, he cried for a nice, safe cage. He always demanded for a nice, safe cage for his safety. Okay. Suddenly they heard a nasty sound and Mustard growled and they all looked around. Mooch, cried Ink, and ooh, cried Belinda, for there was a pirate climbing in the window. Okay, so what's going on there, children? Suddenly they heard a nasty sound. What's the meaning of nasty here? Nasty means unpleasant sound. Suddenly they heard an unpleasant sound. Nasty means unpleasant. The Mustard growled. While hearing the sound, Mustard growled. What's the meaning of growl here, children? Yes, he barked. And they all looked around. Mooch, cried Ink. Ink also made a sound. What's the reason? Because there was a pirate climbing in the window. So when they looked towards the window, they saw a pirate. You know who is a pirate? A person who robs ships in the sea. A person who robs ship in the sea. Then here, window, it is used for window. In order to rhyme the word Belinda, the poet, he used the word window, misspelled as winda, W-I-N-D-A. Belinda rhyme with window. Okay, so that's a style of a writer, that's a style of a poet, Ogden Nash. In order to create a rhythm, he misspelled the word window as winda. Okay, children, so let's see the explanation once again. So, all of them were making fun of the dragon. Am I right, children? Yes, they were making fun of dragon. Suddenly, they heard a sound of something or someone entering the house. So, when they looked towards the window, they saw a pirate climbing up the wall. So, what did the dog do? Yes, the dog growled. The dog barked at him and the kitten mewed to him. The kitten mewed to him. And Belinda cried, ooh, because all of them were scared of the pirate. Clear, children? All of them were scared of the pirate. As I told you, what's the meaning of pirate? A person who robs ship in the sea. Hope you understood these stanzas, children. Okay, let's move on to the concluding stanzas. Pistol. In his left hand, pistol in his right, and he held in his teeth a cutlass bright. His beard was black, one leg was wood. It was clear that the pirate meant no good. So what's going on there, children? Yes, pistol in his left hand, pistol in his right, and he held in his teeth a cutlass bright. His beard was black, one leg was wood. It was clear that the pirate meant no good. So pistol, it's a handgun, pistol. Then cutlass, a short sword with a curved blade. A short sword, S-W-O-R-D. S-W-O-R-D, a short sword with a curved blade. So here, the poet describes the appearance of the pirate. In this stanza, the poet describes the appearance of the pirate. He says, the pirate was holding handguns in both of his hands. The pirate was holding handguns in both of his hands. Then what about the little sword, children? Yes, he was holding his sword with his teeth. He was holding his sword, or he was holding his cutlass with his teeth. Then what about his beard? He had a black beard and his one leg was made of wood. Have you seen the line, children? His beard was black and one leg was wood. So he had a black beard and one leg was made of wood. So this means that the pirate was a disabled one. So his one leg was made of wood. So this means that the pirate, he was a disabled person. Still, he was frightening all the other characters. Moreover, he intended to harm them. See the last one, children. It was clear that the pirate meant no good. Children, meant no good. What's the meaning of that one, children? Yes, meant no good means came to harm them. So it was clear that the pirate came there to harm them. So what was in his left hand? Pistol. What was in his right hand? Again pistol. Then what about the cutlass, children? Yes, he held his cutlass with his teeth, or he was holding a sword, or he was holding a cutlass with his teeth. Then his beard was black. He was a disabled person because his one leg was made of wood, W-O-O-D. So it's clear that the pirate came to harm them. So it's clear that the pirate had come to harm them. Meant no good means came to harm them. Okay, so one leg was what means? It was an artificial leg. So from this we understood that he was a disabled person. Okay, let's move on to the next stanza. Stanza number 9. Belinda paled and she cried, "Help, help!" But Mustard fled with a terrified yelp. Ink trickled down to the bottom of the household, and little mouse blinked strategically mousehold. So what's happening there, children? Yes, Belinda paled. What do you mean by pale, children? Pale means turn yellow due to fear. Here, turn yellow. She paled. She turned to yellow color due to her fear. Then yelp. Y-E-L-P. Yelp means a short, sharp cry. Trickle. Here, in this context, trickle means run. R-U-N, run. Strategically planned. Strategically means planned. Then one more word, mousehole. Mousehole means entered a hole. Mousehole, here it is the hole where mouse lives. So mousehole means he entered into a hole. It is the hole where the mouse lives. Okay, so let's see the explanation, children. Yes, Belinda paled and she cried for help, but Mustard fled with a terrified yelp. Ink trickled down to the bottom of the household, and little mouse blinked strategically mousehole. So what's going on there, children? Yes, when all of them saw the pirate, they got frightened. Even Belinda. Belinda was so frightened that she turned yellow due to fear. and started crying for help. So did you get the condition of Belinda? Belinda paled and she cried, help, help. So Belinda was so frightened that she turned yellow due to the fear and started crying for help. Then what did Mustard do, children? Mustard the dog. He started crying for help too. See, but Mustard fled with a terrified yelp. Yelp means, I told you, a short, sharp cry. He screamed. He also screamed for help. Mustard the dog, he also started crying for help. Then the kitten, ink, trickled down to the bottom of the household. The little kitten, Ing, ran down towards the bottom of the household as if he had already planned for it. So, Ing trickled down. Ing ran down to the bottom of the household. And what about the little mouse Blink? He strategically mouse hole. So what did he do, children? Yes, the mouse Ing ran into his little mouse hole in order to save himself. Clear, children? Belinda paled and she cried, help, help. But Mustard fled with a terrified yelp. He was also started to scream for help. Ink trickled down to the bottom of the household. Ink ran down to the bottom of the household in order to save himself. And the little mouse Blink, he also strategically, or he also planned to move towards his hole. The mouse ran straight towards his mouse hole in order to save himself. He also planned to move towards his hole. So planned means, or the word strategically means planned. So he was also planned. So when he saw the pirate, he also planned to escape from that place. By how, children? Yes, he ran towards his mouse hole. He entered into his hole, or the place where he lives. Clear? So the next stanza. But up jumped Custard, snorting like an engine, clashed his tail like irons in a dungeon. With a clatter and a clank and a jangling squirm, he went at the pirate like a robin at a worm. Okay, children. See, here are a few words. Please listen the meaning, children. Snorting. Snorting means make a sudden explosive sound through one's nose. Snorting like an engine. When we start our vehicle, it will snort. By how, children? Snort like an engine. By how? Make a sudden explosive sound. Make a sudden explosive sound. So here, but up jumped Custard, snorting like an engine. So what did he do, Custard? Yes, he jumped up like an engine, or he made a sudden move. Okay, so what's the next word? Clashed. Clashed, fought. F-O-U-G-H-T. Fought. Clashed, fought. Dungeon. Dungeon, underground prison. You heard about it? Have you heard about it, children? Dungeon, it's an underground prison. Then, another word, clatter, clank. What do you mean by clatter and clank? Sound of hard objects falling on the ground. So, clatter and clank, they are sound of hard objects when they fall to the ground. Then jangling, J-A-N-G-L-I-N-G, jangling, squirm, S-Q-U-I-R-M, sound of hard objects. Again, the same meaning, sound of hard objects when they fell to the ground. Sound of hard objects falling onto the ground. So, clank, clatter, jangling, squirm, all are similar in meaning. Clear? Then robin, it's the name of or it's a kind of a bird. Okay, so once again, I'll give you the meaning of the difficult word, children. Snort, S-N-O-R-T-I-N-G. What do you mean by snort? Make a sudden explosive sound. Then clashed, fought. Dungeon, underground prison. Clatter, clank, jangling, squirm. These are sounds of hard objects when they fall on the ground. Then robin, as I told you, it's a kind of a bird. Okay, so let's see the explanation. See, all the characters means except Belinda. All the characters, Ink, Blink, and the other one, who was it, children? Mustard. So what did they do, children? Yes, they boasted that they are very brave. They boasted, or how did the poet describe them in the last stanza, children? Yes, the stanza number 4. See, Belinda was as brave as a barrel full of bears. Ink and blink. Stanza number 4, children. So here it is. Yes. Belinda was as brave as a second stanza. Belinda was as brave as a barrel full of bears. Ink and blink chased lions down the stairs. Mustard was as brave as a tiger in a rage. Then what about the custard? But Custard cried for a nice safe cage. So the above 3 lines, except the 4th line, the 3 lines explained to us the courageousness of the characters. Belinda was brave, Ink and Blink, they were also brave, and Mustard, he was as brave as an angry tiger. Then now, what did they do, children? Yes, when all the other characters were earlier defined that they were very brave, they all of them were frightened. They got frightened. Then what about the condition of the dragon, children? Yes, the dragon. He jumped onto the pirate. He jumped up. Okay, so he jumped onto the pirate and made such a strong sound with his nose, snorted like an engine. He produced a sound through his nose. So the dragon, he did the most unexpected thing. The other animals, Ink, Blink, and Custard. Custard or mustard, children? Not custard, mustard. Ink, Blink, and Mustard, the dog. All of them, they got frightened, but the dragon did the most unexpected thing. What did he do, children? Yes, he jumped onto the pirate and made such a strong sound with his nose as if the engine was producing a sound. As if the engine of a vehicle was producing a sound. Not only this, he hit his tail on the ground with great force. See, clashed his tail like irons in a dungeon. So what did he do next, child? First of all, he jumped onto the pirate and made such a strong sound with his nose as if the engine of a vehicle was producing a sound. Then secondly, what did he do? He hit his tail on the ground with a great force, as if it produced a heavy sound of metal being rubbed against each other in the underground prisons. The prisons were chained with chains, no? The prisons were chained in the underground prisons. Not the prisons, children. Sorry, children. Not prisons. The prisoners. The prisoners were chained in the underground prison. So here, he hit his tail. Who hit his tail? Custard. Custard the dragon. He hit his tail on the underground with a great force that it produced a heavy sound of metal being rubbed against each other in the underground prisons. We know that prisoners were chained. So when they move, the metal will make sound. So like that. What did he do, children? Yes, the dragon, he hit his tail on the ground with a great force, as if it produced a heavy sound of metal being rubbed against each other in the underground prisons. Then he attacked the pirate. Again, another comparison, children. He attacked the pirate just like a robin bird. Just like a robin, he went at the pirate. What's the meaning of went at? Went at means to attack. He went at the pirate. He attacked the pirate like a robin at a worm. Like a bird. Like a robin bird that attacks the worms. So once again, children, I'll give you the explanation. But up jumped Custard, snorting like an engine, clashed his tail like irons in a dungeon. With a clatter and a clang and a jangling squirm, he went at the pirate like a robin at a worm. Okay, children, so once again, when all the other characters means Ink, Blink, and Mustard. So when all the other characters that they were earlier defined by the poet as very brave, they got frightened. Now what's the condition of them? They got frightened, but the dragon did the most unexpected thing. So he was defined, or he was described as a coward one. But here in this stanza, the dragon did the most unexpected thing. He jumped onto the pirate and made such a strong sound with his nose as if the engine of a vehicle was producing a sound. So he made a sound with his nose, snorting like an engine. Then secondly, clashed his tail like irons in a dungeon. That is what is. He hits his tail on the ground with a great force so that it produced a heavy sound. It's compared to a metal being rubbed against each other in the underground prisons. Dungeon means, as I told you, what's the meaning of dungeon? Underground prison. So we know that the prisoners are chained. Okay, so when they move around, it will make sound. So like that. So here it's a comparison. Yes, when the dragon hit his tail on the ground with a great force, it produced a heavy sound of metal being rubbed against each other in the underground prison. I hope you understood that line, children. Okay, then the next one, children. Yes, he went at the pirate like a robin at a worm. He attacked the pirate just like a robin bird that attacks the worms. Clear? So let's move on to the last stanza of today's session, children. Four more stanzas are there, children. It will be explained in our next class. Okay, so let's move on to the concluding stanza of today's session. The pirate gaped at Belinda's dragon and gulped some grog from his pocket flagon. He fired 2 bullets, but they didn't hit, and Custard gobbled him every bit. So what's going on there, children? The pirate gaped. What's the meaning of gape, children? Stared with the mouth wide open. Stared, S-T-A-R-E-D. Stare in awe or stare in wonder. The pirate, he was surprised to see Belinda's dragon. He gaped at Belinda's dragon. So what did he do? He stared with a mouth wide open. Who stared with a mouth wide open? The pirate gaped at Belinda's dragon. He didn't expect this from him. So the pirate gaped at Belinda's dragon. Then what did he do? Gulped some grog from his pocket flagon. So he gulped. Gulp means swallowed or drank. D-R-A-N-K. So he gulped some grog. What do you mean by grog, children? Grog means it's a drink. Grog, it's a drink. A drink. D-R-I-N-K. So he gulped some grog from his pocket flagon. Flagon means container. A container made of silver in which the drink is stored. So what did he do? The pirate, he gulped some grog from his pocket flagon. Flagon, a container made of silver in which drink is stored. Then the next word is gobbled. Gobbled means swallowed hurriedly. Gobbled means swallowed hurriedly. H-U-R-R-I-E-D-L-Y. So what did he do, children? Yes, the pirate got so shocked by the dragon's reaction. So what did he do? That he opened his mouth wide with shock. The pirate gaped at Belinda's dragon. The pirate got so shocked. He was so surprised to see the reaction of the dragon. So that he opened his mouth wide open with shock. Then the next line, gulped some grog from his pocket flagon. So what did he do, children? Yes, in order to gather some strength, he drank some alcohol from a container in his pocket. He gulped. The gulp means drank or swallowed. He drank some alcohol from a container in his pocket. Then after gathering some courage, what did he do? He fired 2 bullets on the dragon. But they didn't hit. But it missed. It was missed. So he fired 2 bullets on the dragon. But they didn't hit. And Custard gobbled him every bite. The next moment, Custard the dragon ate every bit of this fierce looking pirate. So what happened to the pirate, children? The Custard, not the Custard, children, Custard the dragon. Custard the dragon ate every bit of this fierce looking pirate. Did you get the stanza, children? Yes, the pirate gaped at Belinda's dragon and gulped some grog from his pocket flagon. He fired 2 bullets, but they didn't hit, and Custard gobbled him every bit. So the pirate got so shocked by the dragon's reaction so that he opened his mouth wide open with a shock. Then in order to collect some strength, he drank some alcohol from a container in his pocket. After gathering the courage, he fired 2 bullets on the dragon, but they didn't hit the dragon. Then by the time the dragon ate every bit of this pirate. What did he do, children? Yes, Custard gobbled him. Custard ate him. Custard swallowed him. Or Custard swallowed every bit of this fierce looking pirate. Okay, children. Hope you understood this poem. As I told you, 4 more stanzas are there. It will be explained in our next class, and at the same time the literary devices also. Don't forget, children, read the poem thoroughly and write the notes. Okay. Thank you, children. Have a nice day.